Welcome to Conversations. I'm Suresh Kochatar. It's been just 3 weeks that President Trump has slipped into the White House and he's creating havoc. Havoc for people who didn't believe that he could do it. He's been cracking down one executive order after another. A few of them got stayed by the courts, but that doesn't deter him. What's more important, apart from what he's doing at home, is to observe how Trump is now kind of influencing locations across the world. One of his first guests after getting into the White House was Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, who came talking about what to do with Hamas and Gaza. And clear enough, President Trump had a plan which kind of made everyone gasp in awe. He said Hamas has to vacate Gaza and America would rebuild it, making it the Riviera. But where would the Gazans go? Well, Egypt, which is sitting on a huge Palestinian territory, and of course Jordan, which also has grabbed a huge Palestinian land. They will have to accommodate these groups from there, from the Gazans who come out from the Gaza, the Palestinians from there, who have to move there. And then US will rebuild without any tunnels or anything that was a famous thing even now in Gaza and other places. For sure, Trump doesn't want Hamas to come back in any way. And Israel also will ensure that. Look at other parts of the world from where he's saying we are not going to fund any more of it. Ukraine is one. Now, US is demanding elections in Ukraine and Zelensky doesn't want it. Putin is ready to end the war provided Trump gives him the support, and that will come for sure. The trade wars are on in all earnest. Of course, Mexico and Canada have bent their knee. They have agreed to President Trump's demands, but China still has to do it. China has a 10% tariff on it, which will actually make things worse for US companies, which depend on China for their sourcing. China has also, on the other hand, put a 10% tariff on products coming from US, including petroleum. All this is going on, and why President Trump is being kind of hailed in some parts of the world, being kind of accused of being a dictator in other parts of the world. For sure, he doesn't want to carry on the Biden legacy, which we all know was a very weak government, extremely weak, a sleepy government, and Kamala Harris was no better. So President Trump wants to change things in the 4 years that he's going to be in office, and he's a man in a hurry. He wants to do everything yesterday, and that's what we are seeing. From cracking down on US aid fraud that is happening across the world, which is funding regime changes, to what's happening now, where he shut down the entire department, and now it's going to come back with a slim, trim version of it. Elon Musk is there along with him, and of course, he is doing the job which the US government should have done in the first place. More important than all these is the fact that the US bureaucracy is being cut to size. The bloated bureaucracy, which even we see in India, wish we could happen here also, but it doesn't happen here. That's a problem. But there, President Trump has decided to take the bull by its horns. More importantly, if you look at just going beyond just the US government, as I was mentioning before, also the world order, President Trump is putting a stamp everywhere. He's dictating terms. Of course, the first part of it is to even the EU. He's telling the EU, the European Union, that look, US has given enough money to the EU. It's time the EU pays back, or else sanctions are coming. Even to NATO, he's asked NATO to find its own money to fight its own wars. US has been given more than 60% of the funding for NATO. No longer. That money will not be coming anymore. So the Europeans also hate Trump as much as the Mexicans and the Canadians would do, and of course the Chinese. Migrants are being rounded up and being sent back home, and we saw what happened when the military aircraft landed in India, the Globemaster landed in India with Indian migrants illegally who had slipped into the US. There are 170,000 of them still left in the US, that is Indians I mean, and bringing them will be a humongous task. That best will be left to the government of USA to handle. Indian government should not get into it. It's going to be too expensive a process to bring them back. Or let them pay for their own fare back. If they knew how to go there, they should know how to get back also. But President Trump is very clear. He wants to make America great again. And of course, for that, he would do anything. He's kind of reducing the entire government deficit. He's trying to cut down on the waste so that the more money is saved and the deficit which US is running close to $2 to $3 trillion will be cut down. And that is the first aim, because definitely in the short term, there will be an inflationary effect with ban on China for export, and if Mexico and Canada comes back again. But The Chinese itself will have a significant impact on the US economy for short term. But if US companies start making the same products at the same cost which the Chinese make, then it's a different ballgame. But we know that cannot happen. But overall, if one looks at President Trump, he might look like an arrogant person. He might look like somebody who's on the loose, a loose cannon, if you call it at that. But then there is a method in the madness. He knows what he's doing. He has advisors who tell him what to do. And of course, he will go all out, all guns blazing, to prove that Biden was just a kind of weak president who didn't know what he was doing. The US is also getting out of various arms races. It's trying to reduce its infantry abroad, its naval assets abroad. And of course, it's trying to even cut down the corruption in Pentagon, where there's another next thing which will come after US aid. All in all, President Trump is out to prove a point that he is one of the best presidents that the US had seen in the recent past. And for now, during the honeymoon period, people of the United States are willing to give him a chance. It all depends on how things pan out in the next 6 months from here. Because once 6 months honeymoon period is over, then the reality will kick in. And with the reality will come President Trump's calling on what to do. That will be a tough act because it's not easy. He will have to find money. He is, of course, going to squeeze the international companies. He is going to squeeze countries from where US has a huge trade imbalance, and that is where the money is going to come from. It's not just internal revenue service, it's the external revenue service. US needs money, and it needs money big time. China holds a lot of US debt, and if they dump it, then US is in trouble. Either way, Mr. Trump will have to find a walkway, which is going to be very, very thin to walk along, and find the best way to do it. It's good to issue executive orders, but at the end of the day, if it is not effective, then there's no point. Elon Musk can do only so much. There are a lot more other things which needs to be done. And of course, that will require all his appointees, including the Secretary of State, the Defense Secretary, and others, to kick in and make things happen. We need to watch this space, and I will be updating you regularly on what President Trump is doing, what is set to do, and of course, how things are after he has given the orders. It's not easy, as I said before. There are going to be a lot of tough times that is going to come. But the overall political scene, if you look at the geopolitical scene across the world, it has changed a lot since President Trump has come in. Hamas was not ready to release the hostages. We saw them do it now. Hezbollah is nowhere to be seen. Iran is keeping quiet. And of course, we're going to see a lot more in terms of the war zones across the world. We saw the bombing of the IS in camps, and Al-Qaeda camps in Syria. And that is again one sign of Somalia. It's going to be another front where it's all going to open up. And surely, President Trump won't relax for now. He wants to kick ass, as they call it in the American language. Thank you for watching. Jai Hind.